There is an art to hitting the quarterback. And it's changed and evolved as time has gone on. And despite rule changes trying to protect the quarterback and make it tougher for pass rushers to make an impact, one player's season stood out in particular, Nick Bosa in 2022. I rewatched every single snap of that season, and I compiled every single time he hit the quarterback. Here's what I learned from it. The NFL and Pro Football Reference started tracking quarterback hits in 2006, and there are only 2 players to have more than 45-plus QB hits in a season. All-time great pass rusher J.J. Watt has done it 3 times, including back-to-back seasons with 50-plus QB hits. The other player in that elite club is Nick Bosa, who finished the 2022 season with 48 hits on the quarterback. If your last name isn't Watt or Donald, there's only one other player that has a 41-plus QB hit season, and his name is Nick Bosa in 2022. I compiled 49 plays, look at that, where Nick Bosa hit the quarterback. Pro Football Reference lists Bosa with 48 hits, and PFF has Bosa with 30 hits with an additional 19 sacks for a total of 49. So there are some discrepancies depending on who you want to believe. I even got the stopwatch out, and I wanted to be the first to time every play from snap to hit. Bosa's average time per QB hit was 3.07 seconds, while his average time to sack was at 2.87 seconds. In today's game, I think it's harder than ever to get the quarterback on the ground. Not just because of the rules protecting the quarterback, but also because of how quick guys are getting the ball out of their hands, and even the quarterbacks that hold on to the ball for a long time, they're so mobile, they're so athletic inside and outside the pocket that it's really tough to be a consistent game-changing pass rusher. In 2022, quarterbacks spent on average 2.3 seconds in the pocket per pass attempt and an average of 2.79 seconds time to throw. And unlike most pass rushers, Bosa isn't getting into the backfield with pure speed or bend. But rep after rep, I was amazed at the power. The combination of upper body strength to the power he had in his legs, it was really fun to watch. And if we break down Bosa's arsenal of moves on the 49 plays I compiled, here's what it would look like, and here's a pie chart. There are 12 bull rushes, 12 plays where he's working the corner, 10 stunts, 5 outside-in moves, 4 unblocked plays, 2 spin moves, and 3 plays where the quarterback was already outside the pocket. The majority of his bulls are attacking the offensive tackle's inside shoulder, which really puts the tackle in a bad position, and tackles tend to hate this. That's because they're trained to protect the outside, and they set up with depth and width to handle speed off the edge. And when a rusher attacks the inside, it throws off the tackle's balance, footwork, leverage, and can leave him reaching or oversetting. I love this example against the Chiefs. You can really see the power unfold. There are times where he attacks the inside shoulder to open up, going to the inside, and against the Chiefs, attacks that inside shoulder to even open up the corner a little bit too. I love this against the Saints. You have to account for Taysom Hill's mobility, but then boom, bull rush that tackle right into Taysom Hill's lap. Illuminor's waiting for the power, waiting for the punch. It doesn't come. Bosa's going to give that hezzy move, and he's going to turn it into a one-arm stem and put Illuminor in the dirt on his ass and put a big hit on the quarterback as well. And this last sack that I'm going to show in this last play, Bosa's going up against the left tackle, attack that inside shoulder, goes right into the inside, bull rush power. Not everybody does that shit. Bosa does it, and it's a ton of fun to watch. Now, heading into this exercise, I obviously didn't know the ins and the outs of the 49ers defense in 2022. They were the number 1 scoring defense and allowed the least amount of yards in the NFL. And this was the final year of D'Amico Ryans leading the defense, the last protege of the Robert Saleh tree. Now, the 49ers did try and get back to that tree by hiring Nick Sorensen this past year, who was a defensive assistant in 2022, but couldn't find that same success they had with Ryans and Saleh. Now, I'm not an expert on scheme, but if there's one thing I saw in 2022 that made this 49ers defense special, it was they had a front 7 that attacked on every single play. Obviously, this is led by Nick Bosa and his individual effort, but D'Amico Ryans was able to constantly put pressure on opposing offensive lines with how they ran stunts and twists so effectively. In 2022, the 49ers trailed only Dan Quinn's Cowboys in stunt rate, running them on 26% of plays. And out of the 49 plays Nick Bosa hit the quarterback, a third of those plays called for some sort of stunt or twist. I particularly love seeing Fred Warner involved in some of the stunts and blitzes up the A-gap to help set up Bosa. But the rest of the guys that year were dogs too, including Charles Omenihu, who was second on the team in QB hits that year. He left the team after 2022. Samson Ebukam, who left after 2022 as well for the Colts. He had a 9.5 sack season with Indy in 2023. Drake Jackson, who had a promising rookie season in 22 and then has struggled with injury since. And of course, there's Eric Armstead too, but he only appeared in 9 games as he struggled with injuries. Now, none of these guys stand out statistically, but they all worked very well together. They knew their roles. They ran stunts basically 1 out of every 4 plays. It led to a ton of Nick Bosa hits, and in particular, some really big ones too. All right, thank you, me from a different time. I'm Dr. Penik, and I'm going to diagnose some big fucking hits. So this is, oh shit, that hurt. Play it. Andy Dalton standing there, bad idea. Number 10. How about number 9? Power. Taysom Hill is on the ground. Bad day for Charles Cross. Rookie Charles Cross on the ground. Geno Smith's on the ground too. Nick Bosa loved playing as Seattle Seahawks. Taylor Heineke, blindside, bang, down on the ground you go. How about number 6? Tua had a bad day in 2022 too. We're running a stunt up the middle, untouched, bang. How about a spin move? We only did that for 2 QB hits in 2022. How about another stunt? Up the middle, bang. Geno Smith, bad day. How about another twist and stunt? Bang. He had a good Raiders game too. And we're going to hit the Raiders again. Down he goes again. And how about number 1? Tua had a bad day. He gets broken in half. I've been working on this video for years, and this screenshot still hurts me after all this time. My final diagnosis is when Nick Bosa puts you on the ground, whether you're a lineman or whether you're a quarterback, oh shit, that's gotta hurt. Hold on 1 second. We are doing giveaways on these videos. If you leave a like on the video and comment anything down in the comment section, you have an opportunity to win anything from our John Boy Media store. I just released a line of clothing, JM Football line of clothing, a lot of football related stuff. I love the phrase football is a contact sport. You can get shirts that look like that. You can also get some shirts that look like this. You can also get some shirts that look like that. Clap, 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 clap. You can also get a ton of baseball shirts, including this shirt with a dog on it. And whatever you want. Football, baseball, whatever you got. John Boy Media. Leave a like, leave a comment on the video. We're doing some giveaways on these video essays. Now back to the serious stuff. And I'm not done talking about those 49er defensive stunts. Watching the decline of the 49ers defense the last 2 years, it's kind of hurt because despite Bosa still being elite, he and the 49er defense hasn't been able to really replicate the straight-up production and disruption they created in 2022. But guess who's coming back to the Bay Area? That beautiful bald-headed pregame stair climb in Robert Saleh, who this past year with the Jets ran stunts at a crisp 33% from weeks 1 through 5 before he was fired. I think he's going to bring an identity back to this 49ers defense that desperately needs it. It's not that their numbers have been awful, but I think they've lost the edge that they've played with while Ryans and Saleh were here. And having Nick Bosa come off of back-to-back seasons where his combined sack total was 19.5, only 1 less than what he had in all of 2022, I know he's going to take that personally, and Saleh's going to want to get Bosa back to that down-in, down-out, dominant impact as well. A style of dominance where the quarterback winds up on the ground time after time. So like I said, I love the way that DeMeco Ryans and the San Francisco 49ers used to utilize their stunts. It was absolutely apparent watching Nick Bosa game in, game out, play in, play out, that was a huge reason why he was effective. And herein lies Fred Warner. So obviously, you know, Fred Warner, all-pro linebacker, known for his pass coverage, known for his run defense, but I love the way that DeMeco Ryans utilized him as a blitzer and as a stunter. Well, I mean, there he's fighting through 2 offensive linemen, getting a pressure on the quarterback, while Nick Bosa is getting a quarterback hit. You're going to see on this play, love the way he works across the center's face, even works across the left guard's face. Him and Bosa are going to split that sack. I really like the way that DeMeco Ryans utilized Fred Warner on stunts and twists. Fun to see an elite player do fun stuff and elite things. One play I want to talk about in particular is when Nick Bosa got a quarterback hit against the Cardinals. And I think it just goes to show just how useful and just how powerful these stunts are in terms of how their opponents had to prepare for them. And I didn't see Nick Bosa do this and utilize this a ton, but a fake stunt. Bosa is acting like he's going to go around his interior defensive lineman, maybe even go around the A gap to the B gap. He doesn't. He fakes out the tackle, and as the tackle is going to look to the inside to account for his guy, Bosa goes around the outside of him, basically gets a clean shot at the quarterback. I think this play shows just how you have to take into consideration the stunts and the twists that they're running up front, the games that they're running up front. Didn't see Bosa utilize this a ton, but maybe it's something they bring back in 2025 with Robert Saleh. It became clear the more I watched and compiled Bosa's season that it wasn't just the rate at which he hits the quarterback that's impressive. It's when he hits them and the impact it has on the play. 33% of his sacks came on either third or fourth down, and an additional 9 quarterback hits came just on third down. Overall, 30% of his hits came when it matters most. On third and fourth down, those money downs. He also loved playing in front of the home crowd. 13 of his sacks, and according to Pro Football Reference, a whopping 41 of his hits came in Santa Clara. But as the season went on, Bosa's ability to force turnovers became apparent as well. Despite only 2 forced fumbles, there were several other hits that directly resulted in a turnover or an automatic 6 points for the 49ers. Let's look at the hits where Bosa caused or even almost caused a turnover. And it kind of took Nick Bosa a little bit of time for the 2022 season for him to really start creating turnovers or forcing turnovers. And one of the first plays that pops out to me, this is not an interception, but Fred Warner out in coverage doing Fred Warner things. You can have an interception here, Fred Warner. You can have an interception. And this is one of those plays where you see a tight end chipping Nick Bosa. Sometimes chips don't really work that effectively. I don't know if this is planned on to be a stunt or a twist, but it turned into one because the tight end chipped Nick Bosa right into the inside, clear path to the quarterback. Nick Bosa's reign against the Dolphins continues with his first forced fumble of the season. And yeah, that's the oh shit, that hurt play that came in at number 1. That's Nick Bosa's first forced fumble. Another hit that we talked about in oh shit, that hurt, the poor Charles Cross play where he winds up on his ass. Geno Smith hit, ball flutters in the air, and oh look, another 6 points for the San Francisco 49ers, another touchdown. This one doesn't result in 6 points for the 49ers, but it puts them close in a territory for their offense to add some. How about a forced fumble, the second forced fumble, and the final forced fumble that Nick Bosa had on his 2022 season? So it's the fourth quarter. The 49ers are only up by 3. Nick Bosa is certainly going to do his part on forcing an errant throw here. Another duck lane ball. It's going to fall incomplete, but later on, in overtime, Nick Bosa is going to absolutely bull rush the shit out of this tackle. Lame duck ball in the air. Bosa doesn't even hit. This is the only hit of the year where he actually doesn't hit the quarterback, but I'm counting it as a hit because he pushes back the lineman right into Stidham's lap. How about an interception for the 49ers in overtime? Sets him up at the 3-yard line. Brock Purdy takes a kneel, and Robbie Gould kicks a game-winning field goal for the 49ers. 2 plays that directly led to a touchdown, and add the Jarrett Stidham interception that directly led to a 49ers win in overtime. Points on the board for the 49ers and more money in the pocket of Nick Bosa. So Nick Bosa is a once-in-a-generation pass-rushing talent with a Defensive Player of the Year campaign in 2022 that stacks up with the best seasons of J.J. Watt's career. His ability to attack with power and arm strength rather than just speed and bend allows him to drive tackles into the backfield, where he disrupts plays, takes down the quarterback, and quite literally changes the outcome of a game. Now, doing this exercise so far removed from 2022 now, and seeing where the 49ers defense has gone since that year, since Nick Bosa's really big season, Defensive Player of the Year season, it now has me kind of really excited now that Robert Saleh's back in town, knowing how much he ran those stunts and twists with the Jets, knowing that those Jets defense, while very talented with the Jets, those Jets defenses weren't the reason why Robert Saleh failed as a head coach. I am really excited about where the 49ers may possibly even go this year. They drafted Alfred Collins. They drafted CJ West. They drafted Mykel Williams out of Georgia to be an edge rusher, maybe on the other side of Nick Bosa. So they have a young, developing defensive line that's aggressive. They're strong in certain areas. Excited for Nick Bosa's 2025. Excited that Robert Saleh's back. Who knows? He may have one of these seasons again. That'd be pretty damn good. And if you're a 49ers fan, I'm sure you're hoping for it too. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.